rebound here. I thought it would be interesting to interview my friend Raid, who has also had a through hike attempt in 2017, and she has graciously agreed to be interviewed, and I hope you enjoy it. What is your trail name, and how did you come by it?
My trail name is Raid, and my husband and I were meeting with a previous through hiker, Mudbutt, just to get some information on the trail. And she talked about people packing their fears. And I'm arachnophobic, so I said, well, if that's true, I'm going to have to pack a can of Raid. And she teased me and said, oh my gosh, don't do that. People call you Raid. And we just laughed it off. And about 10 minutes later, she said, Raid wouldn't be a bad trail name. And about 10 minutes after that, she said, are you going to accept that name? I'd like to name you Raid. So that's how I got the name.
How many years had you been hiking before your first through hike attempt?
So we hiked off and on in Colorado. We backpacked in Colorado when we lived there many years ago. And I had done a little bit with a friend in high school. And then we had done some long day hikes on the Superior Hiking Trail, but we had not backpacked on the Superior Hiking Trail. So we'd had some backpacking experience, but nothing like a through hike.
Okay. Tell us what happened on your 2017 through hike attempt that took you off trail.
I broke my foot on the trail, and it was most likely due to a stress fracture. And I just didn't realize what the pain in my foot was, and I kept hiking, and it ended up breaking in two places. So I had gotten down to Black Bear Resort near Hampton, Tennessee, and had the owner look at that, and she had just broken her foot previously, and she said, yeah, it's broke, you got to go home. So I came home and x-rayed it, and it was broken. It just wouldn't have healed in time for me to be able to go back on that year.
Okay. I know that there is a future through hike attempt in your future. What is your why? Why do you want to attempt another through hike? And if it's different, what was your why for your first through hike?
I think my why is probably the same. I grew up with a sense of adventure, read a lot of Louis L'Amour books, westerns, and my dad and I would trade the books. I always liked things like The Hobbit. Any adventure book really instilled that in me. And when I was in high school, I read a book about hiking the Appalachian Trail. I didn't understand, we didn't have internet back then, so I didn't understand when they said a white blaze and a trail, was there an actual trail to follow? And I always thought these people who hiked this trail must have been so brave, and I would have never been brave enough to do it. I always felt that I wanted to show my daughter that women count and can do the same things men can. So when we moved to Georgia, against my will, we moved to Georgia, and I found out we were really close to the Appalachian Trail. I started very much getting interested in this trail and day hiking it, and then found out people did through hike. So started kind of really falling in love with the trail and really wanting to through hike, and that, again, my sense of adventure, but I think my biggest thing is I want to show my daughter that we can do it.
Awesome. What do you think is the most special and unique aspect of the Appalachian Trail?
I feel the camaraderie on the trail. There is such kindness and good humanity going on in the trail, and people give so much. And I know at any point in this world, people could sit and say, it could have been 20 years ago, 40 years ago, people are rotten, they were so much better when I was younger. I honestly think there are good people out there in society. We just don't see them as much. And when you get out on the trail, it's a great equalizer. You're the one who has to carry your pack, no one else. They don't care what car you drive, they don't care what your job is, they don't care about your bank account. So people are just so supportive of each other, because we've all had a tough day. We've all experienced the same rain and the same hill, and they're just so willing to give you rides, give you food, share equipment, share tents, things like that.
What was the most special trail magic that you've ever received?
Coming out of Standing Bear and come up Snowbird Mountain, and for whatever dumb reason, I didn't pack enough water. And it was hot that day, and I was already out of water, and we were just cresting the top of Snowbird Mountain, and they have that FAA tower up there. And I looked at my hiking partner, Pogo, and I said, I am out of water, and we've got at least another 4 miles before we hit water. And I didn't want to ask her for water because, on the AT, you really are supposed to be independent. So just didn't want to ask her. I knew I was going to probably have to drink her water. And she said, I see a sign for Trail Magic. And we got towards the top, and this man hollered from the top near the FAA tower, and he hollered down and said they had Trail Magic. And I thought, I'm not climbing up that hill if they don't have any water. So I hollered up, do you have water? He said, we have Gatorade and water and soda, come on up. And I got up there, and it was an incredible feast. And they had like 20 chairs and first aid and food and snacks and treats, and they had Gatorade and water. And it was Easter. And I just couldn't believe what an incredible gift to have on Easter Sunday from strangers.
What was your scariest moment on trail?
I would say I was hiking. Pogo was a day or two behind me, and my trail family was hiking around me, but I wasn't hiking that day with anybody. And I got a few miles, probably about 4 miles from the shelter, and I was on a ridge line, and we had a storm coming in, and it was rumbling, and there was lightning I could see all around. It hadn't yet started raining, and I thought, I am not in a good situation. And I was by myself, and I had to just, you have to hike it out. You got to get to where you want to go, or you got to duck for cover. So I just decided I'm going to keep going. And I did, and it was probably a dumb thing to do because I had opportunity to maybe pitch my tent at a place, but I just wanted to get to the shelter. But the lightning and the thunder, knowing that it was around me and I couldn't tell which direction it was going to hit or how soon it was going to hit, and I was by myself. So I think that spooked me a little bit.
Who was the most interesting person you've ever met on the Appalachian Trail?
I think every hiker is so interesting. People come from all over, and they all have a story. And if you sit and listen to them, they're all just interesting. Everybody's out there not everybody is out there for a different reason, but many for different reasons, some of them for the same reasons. And if you listen to their story, I don't think I could pick one person.
Okay. What is your favorite trail food, and what do you crave the most while you're out on trail?
I think I craved things like that were not so dry. Like after a while you get tired of the nuts. I did. Tired of the nuts, tired of crackers. Something sweet, soft, like a fudge brownie. Something like that. That's what I was craving. I didn't stay on. I was only on about 6 weeks. I did not stay on long enough to get a real hiker hunger. My favorite trail food, I guess, I just ate ramen every night and put different things in it. I never got tired of ramen. So I would say probably ramen. I threw mashed potatoes in there and then other spices. It was good.
What do you typically miss the most while you're out on trail and you cannot name your spouse or your animals?
I miss the most. Depends on what it is. If it's pouring rain and it's freezing cold, blowing wind of 43 degrees, I miss the couch and a fireplace. But really, clean hands. Just when you're sitting there at camp and you're eating and you have dirt in every crease in your fingers and you have it under your fingernails and you're looking around you and everybody has got dirty hands as you, and you think, this doesn't fly in society. We would be utterly grossed out in a cafeteria eating like that. But I know when we get running hot water and you can clean your hands, that was, I think, the thing I missed the most.
What will you do differently on your next through hike?
Oh, Rebound, you and I talked about this, and I think I would try and relax more, because I was always stressed that I might not get to camp in time. I might not get to my next stopping point in time. I might not get to town or shuttle or shelter. And I want to learn just to relax, because I know I can do the miles and I don't want to have that stress hanging over me. So I want to relax a lot more my day-to-day hiking.
What advice would you give to potential through hikers?
And go with an open mind and know you're going to meet a lot of people different than you, but you might learn something from each of them. Be open-minded to them. I would say carry as light a pack as you can. You don't have to go ultralight, and you don't have to spend thousands of dollars, but go as light as you can, simply because it's just more enjoyable to not have that as heavy of a weight on your back. And just relax and enjoy.
Okay, thank you very much, Ray. This was a great interview.
Thank you, Rebound.